Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CCA. I have somehow broken into the commentator's booth once again because the security is, you know, non-existent. And I am going to be casting Team Goomies versus Life Could Bradley Dream with my fellow co-host, Ollie. Ollie, you want to say hi to the people?
Hello there, wonderful people. Yeah, we're going to be doing the Division 5 semifinals for the other half. The first half Division 5 already went with, the Coastal Squid Surge versus Red Beak Splatoon at the god awful hour in the morning.
Yeah, I
So
know.
we're just here to see the second half.
Oh, thank goodness we're able to see the second half in a reasonable time of the day. And right now we're starting to get ready. We're going to Clam Blitz on Flounder Heights. Flounder Heights, an originally a Splatoon 1 map has been imported over to Splatoon 3. And honestly, in my opinion, I just think it's not one of the best maps in the game. Yeah, I think it's okay, but it's one of those maps where it's like they kind of butchered it in the
Yeah,
process.
Yeah, definitely. Thunder Heights, I think, has definitely fallen from grace from its glory days of Splatoon 1. That could be because of the whole no damage update, but Thunder Heights is a little bit rough. But I mean, Clan Blitz Thunder Heights is probably its best mode, or other than that, or zones. But Clan Blitz, you kind of have to make a good strong push in your in the enemy's space, and then you can kind of start scoring.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to just kind of score, especially since, I mean, it's okay. You could obviously start throwing it from the top or just running straight down the basket and throwing it inside. You also have the street area to the left of the basket that you could sneak through if no one's paying attention really well. But other than that, let's take a look at these two teams. Let's take a look at LCBD first. They are undefeated. They swept their group with no set losses, and they only lost at most one game during the set, compared to Goomies, who did lose to Coastal Squid Surge and MSU Frib in Group A. I think Life Could Bradley Dream is the favorite to win, just going purely based off of record.
Yeah, but them being Goomies being second place, I mean, they could also have a higher drive to we really take a game because I mean, LCBD could be thinking, oh, we got this in the bag, but Goomies, being like, we really want this game, could come up right underneath them and just take the set.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see, like what these teams will bring to the table, because this is Division 5 and I haven't really seen anything much from these two teams, so I'm really excited. I hope we get to see some unusual weapons that we usually won't see in like the top level play in the top divisions. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I'm looking forward to a great set. I'm looking forward to a great casting with you, Ollie, as we get started.
Yeah, I mean, what you said is so true. I would love to see some of the offhanded picks, like the Tri Slosher, or maybe maybe Umbrella. I Umbrella's a bit pushing it, but like maybe a Nova Shot or something like that.
Yeah, maybe we could see a sniper rider if we're too faithful.
Ooh, true, yeah.
Uh,
But
I mean,
it
was
seems like they're
above.
discussing.
Yeah, and it looks like
True.
we're in finally a weapon selection right now. We have Team Goomies on the Alpha team and LCBD in the Bravo team. And so
Yeah.
we get into this, right? I think Flounder Heights, I think teams have a good chance of operating with no backline on this map due to how close range it is. And because of this close range, I'm expecting to see a lot of close range weapons like the Splashomatic or the Tri-Slosher, or even something like a Dapple Dually or a regular Dually, considering that Crab tank on the vanilla Dualies can be very, very oppressing when they start pushing.
Yeah, and we're going to be getting into the match, and we can kind of see what the weapon counts are going to be.
Yeah, as we're getting into it, we see a Flingza roller on the side of... Which team is that? On the side of Goomies, and we see a Zinc Mini Splatling, a Tentabrella, and an Explosher from LCBD.
It's a very interesting choices from LCBD. I mean, you got like a more passive kind of comp where you kind of have to play around your 10 Explos since they're both kind of heavy to move.
Yeah, we see this Flingza roller playing an aggressive play into their zone. One goes down on the side of LCBD. We see the Wavebreaker come in from LCBD, though, trying to mark everyone. You definitely mark the Flingza roller. And right now, both teams are trying to get into mid, and it looks like Goomies are starting to push into the mid more. We see the Tentamentals go out, mark 3, and it looks like the Tri-Slosher's already pushing and found 1, and he's popping some drinks.
Yeah, and that was a very well played from the Tri-Slosher. Just mowing down one person at a time, just getting luckily enough clams to open the basket. And now it's dropped below 60, which is a crucial number for Clam Blitz.
Yeah, and I'd also like to point out that Team Goomies comp is just so much more faster than LCBD's. And, you can't really play really decent defense. I mean, you could put up your Tentabrella shield and have Explosher lob shots, but when your Zimmy and Junior are down, it's like you need to have precise aim in order to take out members of LCBD. And as we see them going back into mid, they have the power climb, but they can't really establish mid, especially with one going down already. And that's one of the frontline weapons that, well, technically considered frontline on side LCBD. And it looks like they're starting to get pushed out again by Team Goomies.
Yeah, and Expo's kind of in a really awkward position right now, just trying to make sure they deny some space. But, it's really hard to do that when you're kind of by yourself and, you don't really have much support, or not support, but Slayers to go in with you.
Yeah, but we see this Explosher finding 2 picks, and looks like LCBD finally has the mid control that they need. We see the Tenebrella pushing up with that Inkvac and the Tenebrella shield, but what? I think the clam carrier went down.
Yeah, Flingza went around and just sniped not sniped, but they did take up the power clamp.
Yeah, and it looks like LCBD's push is immediately just been snuffed out by Team Goomies, as they don't even have points on the board, and we're already halfway through this game. We see Goomies just watching that ball. They don't want someone like the Tentabrella to grab it with that shield of theirs that can work 35% of the time, I'd like to say so. And it looks like they throw the ball over to the ramp. I don't know if they wanted one of their teammates to follow up, but looks like LCBD is just so much on the back foot this entire game. Even when we have stuff like the Inkvac coming up from the Tentabrella, it looks like they can't really even get a push started because at least one of their members goes down.
Yeah, it's a 3v3 match when both people go down, but it's not exactly unfair because you have to be so reliant on who goes down LCBD because they got such a interesting comp to try to work around. So, if your Junior or your Zimmy go down, you're stuck pretty much.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. And we see the Flingza roller find, I believe, 2, as we see Team Goomies is just playing an impenetrable defense right now. We see the T-Tech trying to go flank around into the street area, trying to go back into mid, going into LCBD's part of the mid. And we see the Zimmy finding that crucial pick onto the T-Tech. They do lose the ball from Team Goomies, but the Zimmy go down and Tank go down on the side of LCBD, and they can't even get a push started.
Yeah, but the Explo is still doing a fairly good job of just keeping out the power clam out. So so Goomies was forced to kind of let that clam go away. But it's Clam Blitz, so I'm sure you can always find more clams, especially since one's has 5.
Amazing pick by the T-Tech there, and we see the Explo. And this is one of the problems of LCBD's comp that we have pointed out early in the game, is that they don't have much offense when the Zinc Mini and the Siege do go down, and they don't really have much oppression pushing specials like a Crab Tank or a Triple Ink Strike. And it looks like Team Goomies is 2 down, and it looks like they may be able to get something started, but 2 go down on the side of LCBD, and 20 seconds left. It is not looking good for them right now, Ollie.
Yeah, and especially it's very hard to push when I assume the most of the Goomies have like fairly good like special meters right now. So I mean, they just need to paint up a little bit, and they could probably shut down any sort of push that LCBD could probably do.
Yeah, two go down on the side of Goomies, but the Zinc Mini uses his big bubbler a bit early, and the Siege uses its Wavebreaker a bit early. We see the Expo alone trying to find this T-Tech. He does not find it, and he somehow doesn't die to that bomb. And it looks like LCBD finally broke the barrier. The Zinc Mini, it's throwing in all his clams. The Expo somehow managed to live, but he goes down to the Flingza, and that's a wipeout on the side of LCBD, and it looks like Team Goomies is going to take game one.
Yeah, that was a really good match to watch. Although, I mean, I think Gumi's definitely had the advantage on during the entire match because they just had the slightly better comp, and weapon comps don't define a match, but they definitely do like help you determine sometimes advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah, I think it can like determine the pace of how a team wants to approach the match because a team like LCBD with a comp like that, they need to rely on getting picks with the Zinc Mini and the C Junior and try and find and start pushing with the Ink Vac of the Tentabrella. But when the Tentabrella doesn't really work half the time due to game mechanics, it's kind of hard to get a push started compared to Goomies, who has such a hyper-aggressive comp on a map like Flounder Heights where they excel in the close-range combat. Honestly, I'm surprised LCBD was able to break open the basket because I was about to start getting my participation medal jokes out. But it looks like there are some substitutions going. And it looks like we just, wow. That was a really good first match on the side of Goomies.
Yeah. Although, I mean, so if we're looking at the map list, I mean, the next map is going to be Slatzone's Mekomar, which actually, I mean, both types of comps, the hyper aggressive and like a defensive one, can work. But I mean, the LCBD, if they go their same comp, I mean, you can probably shut down a good amount of Mako zones because it's so small and mid.
Yeah, you can, but I think it still boils down to Team Goomies in like the entire game, right? They just kept getting picks after picks. They weren't allowing LCBD to really be positioned well, and when LCBD did get positioned well, they just like got flanked or lost 1v1. So I think if LCBD is able to have a control of the zone, like a good grasp on it, the X-Blosher can sit up on Team Gumi's stack, and he could continuously lob shots on the far left, far right, throw point sensors, be able to snuff out any people who want to shark around. But if you're on Team Gumi's, it's pretty easy to lock them out because with such an aggressive comp, you could just hold areas underneath the sniper, flank around the right area of LCBD's base, and so it's just going to see, once again, the individual skill of these players to be able to win fights in position well.
Yeah, definitely. But we're going under the assumption that it's going to be the same comps, but I have a feeling there's going to be some changes.
Definitely, and as we are getting into it right now, Team Goomies rocking with a Explosher of their own. I think they're trying to assert some Explosher dominance, and we see LCBD actually switching around their comp a little bit. Goodbye to the Zimmy and the Tentabrella. Hello to the Flingza and the Tri-Slosher Nouveau.
Yeah, I think they got like the little bit like the Goomies memo of just play a little bit more aggressive. You can probably dominate your opponents because I mean this is definitely much faster than their previous comp.
Yeah, but the Tri-Slosher immediately went down at the start of on the side of LCBD. It looks like LCBD is starting to coordinate their specials really well. We see the Tentamissiles, the Wavebreaker, and the Inkstorm come out, and we see only one go down on the side of Goomies. I think if you're LCBD, you're trying to find more, and you do find more. We find the Explosher. What a crucial part of their team, their backline over there. They can't exert so much pressure anymore. And we see the Tri-Slosher goes down on the side of Goomies. It looks like LCBD lost the zone for a little bit. They might have to get the zone back. And we see the X-Blosher going down again. The X-Blosher on the side of Goomies is not having a fun time, Ollie.
Yeah, no, they definitely aren't. And it seems like Goomies is having like a little bit of difficulty coming in. But as soon as I say that, they get enough first paint, you just instantly cap zone. And I feel like they're going to try pressure some more with those strikes coming soon.
We see LCBD using that wave breaker. I don't really agree with that play because no one else is trying to follow up on it. But as I say that, they take the zone back immediately. The Splash-O-Matic probably held on to his special for too long, and we see him pick off that C Junior on the side of Goomy. Oh my god, whoa! This Flingser just got 2 bodies accidentally, I think? Or that might have been the most intentional, unintentional play I've ever seen. And it looks like LCBD is back into that driver's seat, and we see that Tri-Strikes come out on the side of Goomies to little to no avail. It does stop the zone, but can Goomies get it back?
Yeah, they definitely can, but I'm watching these Tri-Strikes, and they kind of just feel a little off. Like, they're kind of popping them and just hoping that, they somehow arc it right, because there's no real, like, we don't know where they're going to be throwing it, essentially.
Yeah, they don't really have good angles at where they throw it when your vision is just obstructed by such a big stack like that. And we see the Tri-Slosher Nouveau using those tacticaler buffs in order to make sure that, hey, if you guys trade with me when you guys push, I'll be coming back in a second, you guys will be coming back in 5. And we see the Tri-Slosher in the zone, still holding his position on the side of Team Goomies. Let's see if we can find this Flingshot on the stack area. Let's see if he can find anyone in general. It looks like he's really weak, and he goes down to the Flingshot along with the C Junior, but on the side of LCBD, the Tri-Slosher does go down, and we see the Tri-Strikes coming in, not finding this Flingshot roller, and Ollie, this game might be in LCBD's favor.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, LCBD now has pretty good control over the Gumi stack, but as soon as I say that, it's the commentator curse of just Gumi's taking over their stack now and having now pretty good position over both stacks because both stacks are painted in the Gumi's color.
Yeah, it was really crazy how they were how LCBD was able to paint over Tri-Strikes, but they do lose the zone eventually. The splash does go down. The Tri-Slosher on the side of LCBD does use Tacticooler to go down on the side of Goomies. It looks like it looks like Team Goomies was able to cap the zone because it looks like LCBD were distracted. We see the wave breaker from Team Goomies into the zone. We see the Tri-Slosher trying to push up, and 3 go down on the side of LCBD, but also 3 go down on the side of Goomies, and there's a wipeout!
Yeah, I mean, that was so clutch from the side of Goomies. Just, it was whoever was like the last man standing pretty much, but Goomies definitely was able to win that and was able to be the sole painter of zone because I mean the only one who can the only people who can paint zone is anyone that's alive.
Yeah, and we see the Tri-Slosher out of ink trying to paint the zone from the side of Goomies, but he does get snuffed out by the opposing Tri-Slosher. It looks like there's a battle for asserting dominance over Tri-Sloshers too, and it looks like this Tri-Slosher on the side of LCBD is proving its dominance, proving its worth, and we see the Tri-Slosher move up with that tactical buff. It's like if I go down, it's fine because I come back in a second, and he does go down at the cost of Goomies using their wave breaker a bit too early, and it looks like they can't even get back into zone.
Yeah, and Goomies needs to be able to play around their specials like really well now, or in order to take some of these picks. But LCBD is kind of ignoring most of this stuff and kind of just like we're covering the zone. But Goomies was able to hold a stronger position.
Yeah, the Flings are trying to get the crush on the Tri-Slosher, and like that kind of allowed Goomies to get back into the zone because they found crucial picks. And it looks like, look at the timer, look at the penalty timer on the side of Goomies. It's gone. It's slowly ticking down, and it looks like we're going to overtime for a brief second. LCBD can't take the zone back, and then Goomies get the lead, and now they lead the set 2-0.
Yeah, I honestly thought that LCBD was going to take that because they had such a well-established control for good durations, but these two teams are fairly balanced. When you can just go back and forth and just keep trading points.
Yeah, I think that was just no one really had a solid control because when Team Goomies had control, LCBD was able to get back in with their much more aggressive comp, but when LCBD had control, Team Goomies was able to coordinate their specials really well and find those individual picks. And really, I think that Flingser roller should have just went for the pick on the Tri-Slosher instead of trying to get the stylish squish. But if you're LCBD, I think the aggressive comp is working a lot better. And going into Tower Control Museum de Alfonzino, I think having an aggressive comp like this when you push, having someone on their plat area, being able to exert so much pressure is going to be able to pay dividends for them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I mean, Tower Control Museum. If you can somehow like do a good flank through boxes or through spinner, I mean, once you take care of it, the enemy spinner, you can start locking them out, and you can take checkpoint one, checkpoint two, checkpoint three is a little bit iffy, but at that point, you kind of can just start pushing even harder and just try to get a full knockout.
Yeah, be like your solo queue team just today. They always go in without thinking, without having a second thought. And as we are going to tower, I think we are going to see the Flingza roller again. I think Tenta missiles are just so big on both sides, and I think we would see the return of the Zimmy on the side of LCBD, mainly because of that big bubbler. And the big bubbler is able to ensure that when you pop it, the opposing team does not have any fun at the checkpoint. They cannot break it in time if any of their members are just paying, if only just one member is paying attention to it. And it's able to just secure a checkpoint or secure more points on the board. And as we see, a lot of these players are just checking up immediately. It seems that they are confident in their weapon choice picks.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely shows that. I mean, both sides have kind of like practiced these maps, and they want to go all in on this because I mean, this does determine the finalists for Division 5.
That's crazy, honestly. With a team like LCBD, you think, they swept their entire group, they could do really well, but they're down 0-2. And the first game was really kind of convincing. Obviously, they had the overtime push, but in game two, they made it a lot closer. And as we see a sloshing machine and a tri-string on the side of Team Goomies. And we see on LCBD, we see a custom jet squelcher and double roller?
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, LCBT. I mean, they have like a little bit of like maybe paint deficiency, but also it's like kind of not. It's just that rollers are kind of hard to get in because these maps are not that great sometimes, and the only way some of these rollers work is by sharking.
Yeah, I'd like to expect the roller trying to coordinate with its team, trying to get in with the chaos of the missiles. And we see the Booyah Bomb. 2 go down on the side of Goomies. 3 go down on the side of Goomies. It's the last one's machine. They do find him. LCBD is in a very, very, very capable position to start pushing and barrel towards this first checkpoint. We see the roller use an aggressive bubbler. They're trying to be like, hey, they're trying to take eyes away from the checkpoint. And we see a defensive crab being played on the side of Team Goomies, and it looks like they already passed the first checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, that's like it's like what I said before this match started. I mean, if you can somehow take care of the enemy side, I mean, 2 checkpoints can be almost like taken for free. But Goomies had a very strong defensive to make sure that second checkpoint would not get broken.
Look at the Flingza roller who jumped out. Being sandwiched by 2 members of Team Goomies, was able to properly assess that they were able to get out in time. And we see the crab being used, trying to open up some space into LCBD's base, and it looks like if one goes down and one is in mid, out of position. It's the custom jet squelcher, but the Sea-Jet goes down to the missiles, and we see the Sea-Jet trying to find the splash, but obviously they lose in the one-on-one, and it looks like the splash trying to find the roller who popped the bubble immediately. He didn't die to the curling bomb, but now he has to push back because 2 of his mates are down, and he is the only one left on that plat area for now.
Yeah, but I mean, if they can paint up for crab, I mean, they can and like go onto their spinner. They can try defend this tower, but that's all dependent on them painting up. Because right now the only special line for them was the big bubbler for Goomies.
Yeah, and I don't really understand what the roller was trying to do. I guess they were trying to find people underneath the sniper. I think it would have been better for them to just go on the plat area of Team Goomies, and he goes down without much benefit, and it looks like Team Goomies is starting their offensive, but they do need to watch out from the left flank, as we were talking about in the beginning of the game. And it looks like the Booyah Bomb comes in, the crab comes out, 1 goes down on the side of LCBD, and no missiles are present on the side of LCBD as well, and it looks like they are going to barrel towards the second checkpoint really quickly.
Yeah, but I mean, this push kind of got shut down with like the missiles, because I mean, Tenta missiles, it's really hard to fight Tenta missiles because, I mean, once they're popped, they kind of just drop and, you kind of just run away.
But we see the machine on the side of Team Goomies been able to find 2 people on the side of LCBD, and it looks like the junior from Team Goomies is just able to hop on the tower because the other player was on LCBD was just pushing up really hard, and it looks like this junior is back up again to its big bubbler, that big bubbler that can deny a team from stopping you from getting the checkpoint, allowing the enemy team to not have fun at all. And it looks like they do get the lead, and it looks like the Flingza just able to find 2, I believe, and use the missiles, and it looks like LCBD is finally back into the driving seat.
Yeah, and Goomies is in a very strong position because since they broke checkpoint 2, I mean, they don't have to take as much time for the next push, whereas LCBD has to go break through a checkpoint and then some.
Yeah, it looks like there's a fight in mid. The C Junior does go down. I thought that would be the splash or something. We see the Booyah Bomb come in. I think that was used a bit early because now we see, the machine been able to find a crucial pick here, but he backs up and he goes down. We see the roller with the big bubbler. We see Team Goomies trying to desperately fight them off. And it looks like they're using the same strategy that Goomies used in order to pass the second checkpoint. And it looks like 3 go down on the side of Team Goomies, and it looks like LCBD is finally going to be able to get the lead if they actually can get on tower first.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a little bit sketcy, but I mean, it was like Goomies tried taking over for a little bit, but they did fall down, so now they got a free ride to the final checkpoint.
It looks like they're trying to find a ride to the goal right now, and it looks like Team Goomies does go 2 down once again. It looks like Team Goomies just really gets desperate in times like these, and it looks like LCBD is barreling towards the goal, and they do get a knockout. Game 3 goes to LCBD, making the set now 2-1 in favor of Goomies.
Yeah, and I mean, this match kind of showed that LCBD. I mean, maybe those first 2 matches were just them trying to figure out their enemies, and now they got like a good grasp of them. They can start trying be a little bit more like aggressive and be able to maybe start taking games off, because I mean, we know that LCBD has the skill since they went undefeated in their bracket or groups.
And I'd like to also point out is that LCBD has been using all of these unconventional comps like we've been talking about even before Game 1 even happened. Game 1 we saw that interesting Tentabrella pick, something that's not really seen at the upper echelons of higher level play because the Tentabrella is a weapon in the game that somehow managed to find its way into the final version. And then Game 2, pulling out a more conventional comp, but still not really the classic, But then Game 3, they pulled out double roller and they were able to find a win. That's kind of impressive, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that kind of shows, their mechanical skill. Because I mean, even if you're working with like weird comps, I mean, if you're like mechanically better than your opponent, you can do some off plays that most people wouldn't be able to do, but they can get away with it.
Heading into the Rainmaker Scorch Gorge, and honestly, I wouldn't mind to see the double roller comp again because I think Scorch Gorge has a lot of abusable angles that you could use on the side of LCBD. But I think on the side of Goomies, I'm not very sure what adjustments you might make. You might want to bring out the Explusher again, just to get that high range, high splash damage area for your teammates. But I think you would also want to keep this machine because I think the machine will be able to poke so many high areas and be able to pressure so much of that top right when you do start to push and start to get past that first checkpoint area. But I can't wait to see what both of these teams can bring. I think LCBD's comp is going to be the one that we're going to be marking a question mark for because it seems that they just want to use anything. They want to throw everything at Team Goomies, and it's up to our mind in order to comprehend the nature that is LCBD.
Yeah. As for side of Goomies, I kind of expect like more meta, more conventional comp, like I don't know, like T-Tech, Splash Machine, the usual stuff that can typically win these games because I mean it's meta. It can win games because it works so well together.
Another thing I forgot to mention is I think that LCBD, if they're feeling confident enough, they might actually bring the Tentabrella because I think that the Tentabrella as a weapon and as its kit is more favorable on Rainmaker than a map like Clam Blitz, right? Because the Rainmaker, it's a very mobile objective. You get to use the Ink Fight, you get to use the Tenterbrella Shield in order to kind of move around the shots that Team Goomies has, and it really doesn't have much counterplay if you play it really well. And so I think what LCBD might be thinking is that okay, we lost with the Tenterbrella on this mode, but let's try it out on Rainmaker, because I think it will be a lot more beneficial to them. But and who knows? LCBD has been pulling out some very unconventional stuff recently.
Yeah, and as we're getting into this, we can see these comps, and we see an Octobrush for.
What? Huh?
Yeah, interesting. They both went sort of conventional, but I mean, LCBD went double sloshers, and you have like on Goomies an Octobrush to get a little bit more aggressive and try maybe zip over to the snipe area of LCBD and try to get some off-angle picks.
Yeah, and it looks like one goes down already on the side of LCBD, and it looks like I also like this Splattershot Pro choice is also interesting, right? Because I think people kind of brushed off the Splattershot Pro as something that, if you just want to use a weapon that with Crab, you could always just use the splash. It looks like they're already trying to make a run for it. And it looks like it already gets shut down on the side of LCBD, and it looks like there hasn't really been a mid established yet in the side of either team.
Yeah, and honestly, I really didn't like that Rainmaker play because I mean they're running for. I mean, you have no teammates to support you, and you're like a super heavyweight weapon, so anyone can just up and kill you.
Yeah, two go down outside of LCBD, but the brush goes down on the side of Team Goomies. We see the Tri-Strike come in, trying to stop this Rainmaker, trying to stall it because LCBD's teammates are steadily trying to regain their positions back. They want to set up their explosion in the top area, and they want to prevent any pushes. And he flanks from this roller who does keep going down. It's always the roller that goes down in the first beginning seconds of this game, honestly. And we see Team Goomies just struggles trying to get past 90.
And I mean, they have still like 20 seconds, but I mean, you wasted like so much of your time just stalling out, which that's props on like LCBD of making sure to prevent the first checkpoint from falling down. Because I mean, once the first checkpoint falls down, I mean you can just run into their base and just cause havoc.
Yeah, and as we see this Tri-Slosher Nouveau on the side of Team Goomies, desperately trying to find one. The Octobrush goes down. Two go down on the side of Goomies, but the Tri-Slosher finds one. He finds two, and the last one's the Roller, who is desperately flanking. But did you get the wipeout? It looks like Team Goomies is barreling. He broke towards the first checkpoint, and it looks like they're trying to get more because LCBD's defenses are scrambling.
Yeah, and this Tri-Slosher is what just went off. Just they got one more pick, but they definitely were able to set like the Team Goomies very well.
Yeah, but the thing is that Goomies wasn't able to get much off of that Rainmaker breaking the checkpoint, and it looks like LCBD is desperately going back into mid. They're using their Tri-Strikes really a bit early. I don't really know if I agree with this play or not, but they do find the Octobrush out of this. It looks like they found two out of this. And it looks like the T-Tech finds one on the side of LCBD, but it looks like two are still down on the side of Goomies to make that three. And it looks like they're going to be taking the more unconventional route of going to the far left because that is wide open.
Yeah, I mean, that was very good. Being able to see that, that was a good opportunity because I mean, most people would go under the assumption of just like always push right because left is so dangerous most of the time. But
oh my goodness. Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but the T-Tech just made a desperate push, and they found one. They were able to juke. I think that was the T-Tech on the side of Team Goomies, and it looks like this Splattershot Pro is always going to be the main carrier of this Rainmaker. I don't think anyone else has picked up this Rainmaker besides the Splattershot Pro. And it looks like Team Goomies is trying to take this very slow. They're using their Tri-Strikes a bit early, just like LCBD. It looks like they're trying to find an early pick, but it looks like LCBD found an early pick. They found the brush, and they found the T-Tech. Even though the roller went down, that's a Oh my goodness, at least 1-3 down. And it looks like the last one's just Rainmaker carry. They're not doing a really good job at defending this president now, aren't they, Elixir?
No, they really are. I mean, this. I feel like they're trying to, go through the single predictable route through choke. But I mean, you can, even if you have to go through choke, you can honestly make some interesting plays with just having people in front of you and kind of shark first before pushing forward. But also the Rainmaker is kind of slow to mobilize a little bit, and it's getting punished because of that.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're also getting distracted by this roller so heavily, and which allows LCBD to just chill out for a second. And it looks like they can't really chill out now because the last one's Explosher, but he's really weak. The Rainmaker might die to the storm. No, they do not. But they go down to the bucket who jumped into the Explosher before they died, and it looks like Team Goomies is not able to pop the Rainmaker shield, and LCBD ties the set 2-2. Life could Bradley dream of this set going 4-2 if LCBD keeps this momentum up. Am I right, Elixir?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting to see. The LCBD is like they have interesting special plays, but I mean, it's just as good as Goomies. But it's honestly making sure to prioritize what's important. Where you can, if you have the opportunity, you can ignore opponents. I mean, that's kind of how it goes in sometimes top levels. If someone's out of position, just ignore them. Just go for objective.
Yeah, and the thing is, LCBD has such an interesting comp because you have the Explosher on the top, but if you don't really have a Zipcaster or any way to force them off, that gives rise to the roller being able to constantly flank, and that was what proved to be very effective on the side of LCBD. Even if they didn't find the Rainmaker, at the times they did find the Rainmaker, it was very huge because they always wanted to get rid of what was in front of them and not what was behind them. And I think that's what LCBD can expose by having one person constantly be the thorn in their side, the little sibling who constantly asks, "Are we there yet?" The person who always wants to be the little ankle biter in that one friend group that you used to have back in middle school. If LCBD can keep that up, I think they are able to take this set 4-2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a reason why the ankle biters and the annoyance is like so good and like all different levels of competitive play because I mean the different levels of play. I mean, it's subjective, but the key thing is actually more like distraction because as long as people aren't focusing on objective, you get free points pretty much.
And honestly, you could also think of it as a mental viewpoint, If they're always keep flanking, if they're always keep finding you guys, you might like just want to start tilting. It's like, come on guys, we gotta keep finding this guy. And by tilting, you're throwing yourself off the game. And it's up to these teams to be able to hold a steady mindset and also steady play. And Clamblitz Inkablood Art Academy, what do you think of this map compared to what these two teams have been running throughout this entire set? Like, what team do you think just has an innate advantage due to the weapon picks that you have seen throughout these entire games, Ollie?
I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I'm not quite sure since I mean, if on Mako match, I mean, they play like similar weapon pool, so we could honestly see like almost identical weapons, and if that's the case, I mean, Inkblot Clamblitz is just going to be like a stall fest because I mean, no one can really get in.
Yeah, I think the roller / tri-slosher, because we have seen that player use them beforehand. I think if they could just keep just being so aggressive on the side of LCBD, is able to just be the ankle biter that they are, just able to pressure them so much, get them able to throw them off their game, it can be really huge. And we see not much comp changes. We have always seen these weapons before on the side of both teams, and it looks like the Splattershot Pro is coming back. I'm not really sure if I like this choice because the splash is just right there,
Yeah, but maybe they can't, maybe they don't like Splash and maybe they like midline. But even then, I mean, the Forge Pro is right there. And we immediately see that Goomies is like just getting distracted all over the place, and they were able to get objective.
Oh, this Explosher Yeah, the Explosion just finding so many bodies, and it looks like LCBD just had such a strong opening push, and it looks like they could even keep this going, but it looks like the brush on the side of Goomies was able to shut that down, and 53, like you said, in the Flounder Clan Blitz game is very good because it is below 60, and it means that Team Goomies just has that much more to push. And it looks like this roller isn't even done yet. He's like, wait, hold on, this push isn't over yet until I say it's over.
Well, as soon as you say that, I mean, the roller goes down. But, the LCBD looks like they're already setting up for another push with 2 power clans online. And,
Yeah. This Explosion has just been playing so much more aggressively than I thought they would. Looks like LCBD does use that Wavebreaker into mid. I think I would have preferred it to see them use that Wavebreaker a little bit more aggressively into mid. But as we see this T-Tech going back onto the fly with the Tri-Strikes ready. We see the roller with the big bowler ready. No specials on the side of Goomies. And 2 go down, 3 go down. Oh my goodness, it's a whole wipe. And we see the Explosion with 7 clams. Let's see if he could throw them all in to a knockout.
Yeah, I mean, oh my god, they actually managed to get to pretty much 60 to 100 to 0 push. I mean, that was a very strong way, and the best way that LCBD did it was they actually did what you said, Mewtwo. They just flanked around and became that little angle fire. So the Goomies kept having to devote resources to them.
Yeah, as we saw, when they jumped to that big boulder, we knew that roller was just in their bats area. And the roller in the bats area, when you don't see them, can lead to some pretty bad stuff. And LCBD getting another strong knockout. Oh my goodness. Has this been 3 in a row for LCBD, or is it 2 in a row? 3 in a row?
It's now 2-3. So I mean, LCBD is now the one's an advantage in terms of points. I mean, it's Goomies has to now probably work on their mental, because I mean they are struggling a little bit, and what you need to do is take a deep breath and be like, we can fight these people, and we have to make sure we don't get distracted, and if need be, just bomb spam them out of like a key point.
I just think they need to be more aware. They always keep getting caught from these small flanks that lead into big points on the side of LCBD, and they just need to have more awareness. And I think we don't have these voice chat access to Team Goomies voice chat, but hopefully they're not really tilting, because that is just making their play worse, and that's going to make the flanks so much harder to spot because they're going to be so tunnel visioned onto just getting the objective. But on Splat Zone's Brine Water, I don't know if LCBD is gonna bring the roller again, because this map is just doesn't seem very roller friendly, just as much as Pitbulls aren't child friendly at all.
Yeah, if anything, I'm actually expecting to see what we saw in Mako and have like the double explode. So, one slosh over at the other side, the other one cancels the other explode shot, and it's just going back and forth, and it's all going to be determined on who can build the most displacement heavy specials, since it's Brine Water zones. If you can constantly be throwing strikes and booyah bombs, you can probably just win the game if you can do that.
You can, like the combo of Tri-Strikes and Booyah Bomb, like you said, is just so devastating onto the zone, because honestly, you can't paint over both very effectively. And so in order to respond to that sort of dominating special push is to push back with your own specials, but having holding onto your specials is going to be something that both teams really need to just hone in on, because I think that they just keep throwing some of their specials just willy-nilly, and I really want to see how well both teams can respond with their specials in response to the other team trying to push. And as we see Splat Zone's Brine Water, like we said, double explode, because this has been such an explode thing, because I can't believe those people exist. But we see the C-Jet come in on the side of Team Goomies. But as we see, that roller still... Is that a big swing? Oh,
What happened? I'm curious to what happened. I mean, was there a DC? Because I mean, only one person was technically left.
um, it seems that there were some substitution issues. It's fine, honestly. Substitution issues are just a thing that we're going to see in something like this. But I guess they haven't seen. I really hope they haven't really thought about using that big swig. Although, because it can paint very well and has received lots of buffs, I still don't think it can provide much use to a team comp.
Yeah, but I mean, the comps that they brought out, I mean, they looked like they could work. I mean, I didn't see any issues with them. It's just that, it's all depending on who can play better, pretty much.
Yeah, Big Swig is just in that interesting spot of where the concept itself is fine, right? But the kit that it was given just does not. It just doesn't, you know.
Yeah, but
Getting back in.
if you can somehow get onto like the middle block and kind of back most of the shots trying to paint the zone.
Oh yeah, and I would also like to point out this is a best of 9 instead of the usual best of 4. So even though Team Goomies is down 2-3, right? Obviously, it doesn't feel good going up 2-0 and then being down 2-3 the next 3 games, but you still have so much more left to play. You have so much Splatoon 3 left to play that you can't really be discouraged. If anything, you should just be like, okay, we're just letting them have a few games. We don't want to embarrass them too bad, and hopefully, if they're already using the big swig, I think the embarrassing part is already covered by LCBD. But honestly, that might have just been a joke weapon pick. But knowing how they like to use lots of rollers, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise if they pulled out the big swig.
Yeah, and I mean, Big Split can kill, and you could this whole buff that recently got with its like increased lethal radius of like 50 and 100, so you can honestly play into it.
Yeah, and just to clarify, best of 9. I'm so sorry if I said best of 4. I must have been caught tripping on my words. And as we see, we're finally getting to the actual Splat Zones Brian Water game. We see the regular comp come in from Goomies, and we see the double roller once again, rearing its, I don't want to say ugly head, because LCBD has proven lots, time and time again, that they're able to use this very well. Rearing its
Uniqueness.
It's the middle child.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's actually perfect now because you got like the best of both kind of worlds of interesting and also pretty good situation.
Yeah, and one goes down on the side of Goomies and LCBD, and it's always the roller at the start on the side of LCBD that always goes down at the start. I'm wondering if they could just not be the first one to go down, but as we see, Goomies is just having steady control over the zone. They already got lots of points on the board. 2 go down on the side of LCBD, and it looks like they have the Waybreaker ready again, but they're using it a bit too early. I don't really understand the point of using the Waybreaker, but I guess you're just trying to stop the roller from sharking a bit, from dropping on the far right and sharking there for a while. We see the Storm come out from the side of LCBD, painting the zone, almost single-handedly painting the zone along with the X-Ball, and you see the Tri-Strikes finally come in. I think if they coordinate the Tri-Strikes and Storm a lot better, I think they would have taken that zone. And as we see, Team Goomies is just still having this steady control.
And like this junior has been like kind of popping off, just being able to just counter all these specials by themselves. But it's I mean the Brian Water match, it's kind of dependent on like if you can actually get into enemy base and start spawn locking them. I mean that's honestly probably a better play instead of just constantly playing a little bit past and just try and paint the zone.
It looks like this Zipcaster single-handedly got the attention of 2 members of LCBD, but they do get the zone back again. There is slowly counting down to 51. They're trying to get the lead, and they're trying to get the lead in a dominant fashion, but they do lose the control because I think 2 members just decided to focus the Octoburst. I think they're too busy trying to get KA than focusing on the objective, honestly. But 2 down outside Goomies. So LCBD is finally back in control, but they do have a penalty to chip through now.
Yeah, but I mean that's not a huge penalty. I mean it's got to go off in like a couple seconds. As right now it's ticking down.
We see the splat roller squish on stream, and it's a wipeout on the side of Team Goomies. LCBD is proving why they are undefeated in their group. Sure, they had a shaky start, but it looks like they're just trying to have a dominant finish, and it looks like they're trying to finish this game right now.
Yeah, and I mean on the other camps, I mean you can see with like everyone's now grouped together quite well. So I mean they were able to prevent like the stagger, and we all be kind of together. Although it's kind of hard to see how this could go because Roller is coming from behind, just taking everyone out.
This Roller, man, he's just having a clinic on these guys, and the victims are Team Goomies, and he finds the Jizz Culture again. This Jizz Culture is not having a fun time, constantly going back to that respawn portal, and the brush goes down again. Oh my lord, can someone please stop this man before he burned down an orphanage or something?
I mean, hopefully that can happen, but I mean, wow. I'm not seeing Goomies will be able to stop this because I mean, Roller is still here and they're still getting picks after picks.
But the thing is, Team Goomies was able to just find the zone underneath the nose of the Roller. Their teammates must have went down, but we see the Roller once again just having a showcase of Roller being the Roller, and we see the Flingza Roller, the big brother, being like, oh my goodness, he's going off again.
Yeah, but at this point, it's kind of just been like trading like the rollers of who goes down, who's active right now. Because I mean, things that went down and now Roller's active, and once Roller's active, I mean, Roller's going to maybe play a little bit aggressive, and then Flingza has to make up for it.
Liz is going nuts right now, Ollie. I can't believe it, how Team Goomies is just allowing them to just run a clinic. And it looks like 2 go down outside of LCBD. The brush goes down. Looks like they don't have the main unstoppable force. It looks like they do get the tactical air buff. They will be coming back in a second if they do go down. But it looks like they are having tight control of the zone. And it looks like that penalty is almost gone. It is gone.
Yeah, and now like Goomies now has to play around like maybe some specials or something, or the LCBD was going to take over the zone, and they kind of did because no one was there to focus zone.
3 go down outside of Goomies, and it's looking like a wraps. And it looks like LCBD is going to take this set, is going to move the set up to 4-2. Oh my goodness, what was looking like a shaky start for LCBD is slowly turning into a steamroll.
Yeah, and especially now since it's now match point for LCBD. They just need to take one game, whereas Goomies has to kind of like do like a reverse sweep of the other maps.
Yeah, Goomies is capable of knocking games off of LCBD. Let's get that one thing straight. Let's not count on Goomies right now. But I think if you're LCBD, you're in a very, very comfortable spot, because not only are you up 4-2 in the playoffs, the momentum is on your side. The other team must be scrambling for the formula in order to beat LCBD. And it looks like we're going to tower control Hagglefish. I still once again think this is a map that LCBD can run double roller and be able to succeed with it very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can see that for, I think, a lot of these maps at this point, because, I mean, you honestly have, the backline roller, and then you have the frontline roller. So you kind of have your bases covered of both role types.
Yeah, and it just... LCBD has been so dominant in terms of aggression. We see how it can just be one person who's able to stop an entire squad, and the only thing that was able to keep Goomies in the game was being able to just avoid the roller and just pick off the other 3, because when the roller was just playing hyper offense in their base, that means they weren't in the zone, and if they were to go back to zone, then they would need to go a decent way in order to come back. And even then, it is very televised that the roller is going to go back, and you could pick them up immediately. But going back into Tower Control Hagglefish, I think, honestly, I think this might be perhaps for Team Goomies. I think LCBD. I know I said not to count them out, but yeah, it was just looking very, very good for LCBD right now.
Yeah, they honestly, I kind of want Goomies to play like more displacement because I mean, they've been constantly like kind of jumping in, trying to get picks, but you know, at that point, I mean, you're pretty much telling yourself just like, "Hey, shoot me," kind of thing. So I mean, displacement is key.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to see any exploshers. I mean, it's really good to lob onto the little tarp area of Hagglefish Market, and be able to get those nooks and crannies at the top right when they're trying to push. But I do obviously think that it's tower control. I think both teams are going to bring their big bubbler weapons. I think they're going to start using their big bubblers a lot more tower based, and to be able to stop the team from having a fun time. And we see just a regular comp from Goomies. And the side of LCBD, it looks like they finally went to the custom jet squelcher, and custom Splasher Junior, pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, both these comps are pretty standard, except for the jet and the price stringer. Because I mean, both kind of have a little bit of difficulty when it comes to exerting good pressure sometimes.
Just a wave breaker being used very aggressively and might get shredded because it is just so in Team Gumi's side. It's just like you can't really play off of that. And as we see both juniors go down, we see the roller accidentally go down to a stray bomb. We see the flings roll on the side of LCBD trying to hold things together. They find one on the far right. It's the Tri-Slasher with the cooler buff. And it looks like the flings that has no ink. They're trying to signal to their teammates to help me out. Because, in this game where you're in checkpoint, you got to have your team firing on all four cylinders.
Yeah, and I mean, we're kind of seeing right now that LCBD is kind of in an awkward position, just not being near each other and kind of playing out of position. But we see this Flings that pick up a massive pick against the junior.
Yeah, I can't believe the Flings was able to reach that far. Just the Flings is surprising me of why it is such a good weapon. We see the big bowler being used by the roller pretty aggressively. And it's not being used on tower. I think it's because of this Tri-Strice coming in. We see the roller not finding anyone. 3 go down on the side of LCBD. And it looks like if you're Team Goomies, you could finally start to push. You could finally start getting points on the board, and you could finally get that lead and extend it a bit more.
Yeah, but Goomies was a little bit slow on the uptake, and they gave like OCBD like 2 seconds of respawn, and that can be crucial because it's going to be what could cause your downfall.
And it did cause a very, very quick downfall as we see this roller. The roller finds 1. Can they find 2? No, they cannot. 2 go down on the side of LCBD. We see the Tri-Slosher in the mid, trying to find 1, trying to find anyone. And it looks like 3 go down on the side of LCBD. That was looking really dire, especially for Goomies being not able to get past that first checkpoint.
And, we see DC. Yeah.
On the side of LCBD.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of showed on the on the stream that we had the Tri-Slosher kind of like not painting at all, but I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how to exactly determine this because I mean, looks like the LCBD is planning to play this out.
Hey, analyst desk or the lords above of CCA, can we see if LCBD is eligible for that replay? Those who are in the upper echelons, aka the staff that I cannot challenge, because if I do, I will get kicked off the commentator booth. And it looks like they are eligible for a replay. The DC was before 50 points and 230, so it looks like LCBD is eligible for a replay, no?
Yeah, but I mean that's all determined of like whether or not LCBD decides to do that, or they want to try to make it like a little bit closer match of making like a 3-4. Um,
Yeah.
but but we aren't going to see any of these discussions. So it's probably going to be in the captain's chat between the two teams. So you know, we can always just probably talk about the match itself, which before the DC happened, and LCBD was holding pretty strong. There were a few times where Goomies were able to get picked, but Goomies weren't able to take out like Liz, the roller. So I mean, once the roller is set up, I mean, Goomies playing a very dangerous game.
Yeah, Liz was just able to hold it down for LCBD single-handedly. Gotta give it up to them because they are playing amazingly well, and it looks like we got word on high from the voices in my head saying that the replay is happening. Hopefully, LCBD has had that player sort out their connection issues, and I think if you're LCBD, I believe that you should just let Liz do whatever they want. And if you're Goomies, I think you should be a lot faster on the uptake, like you said. When they got the wipe or 3 down onto LCBD, they didn't really get on the tower immediately. They didn't start pushing immediately, and that was what led them to that quick wipe. But LCBD just kept going down when they were pushing. I think it's because with such short range and Goomies in their spawn, it's very hard to try and flank around the tower quickly.
Yeah, but again, playing that short range, I mean, you can honestly run circles around the tower and kind of exert a very, very dominant zone of control around it. And we can see that there's no changes to the comps.
Yep, and it looks like we are finally going to... Oh, looks like... Okay, yeah, no changes on the comps. We see both teams ready to play it out once more, starting to have a fresh start on this new game of Hagglefish Market. And it looks like the Flings is immediately paying for the special, and it looks like one go down on each side. And it looks like the Wavebreaker is being placed so much more aggressively. I don't know if that Wavebreaker is a paid actor or a solo queue player because of how far they are pushed up at the start.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like LCBD is trying to kind of just get this up and over with because they're playing like very different from how they played originally, where they're trying to slowly get picks on Goomies.
Yeah, they're playing like monsters right now. Liz holding that big bowler. They realized they were not being pressured very much, and it looks like they found one. The big bowler on tower being able to provide as a beacon for LCBD's teammates to jump to, and it looks like we see 2 go down outside of LCBD, but we see the triple ink strike not really pushing the tower off immediately. I think it was just a bit too far than what they were wanting, and we see Liz again being able to find the tower, and it looks like there's a wipeout on the side of Goomies. Like you said, I think LCBD just wants to finish this because they were done entertaining the Goomies for too long.
Yeah, and this roller is set up pretty well, and they get 2 down on the side of Goomies, and honestly, even with them going 2 down, the one advantage is still LCBD because you have to still wait for that tower to go back to mid.
Yeah, I think everyone on LCBD is playing so well. We see the C-Jet go down on C-Jet goes down on side of LCBD, and we see the Tri-Flusher go down. We see the Tri-Stringer on the tower, trying to move the tower back to mid, trying to get points on the board to go down on the side of LCBD, and it looks like Goomies is finally gonna start being able to push now. Never mind.
I mean, that can be said, but I mean, they're kind of. I feel like Goomies is kind of still stumbling their way through because it's kind of they're still trying to find a footing against anyone that's like out of position on LCBD.
Yeah, Goomies is just not able to find steady ground, and it looks like LCBD has such a large lead that Goomies needs to break through. They finally do start getting some points on the board, but can it be enough to pass 27? You do have 2.5 minutes left in the game, but it does look like one go down on each side. We see the triple ink strikes go out. Can it find this Flings of Roller who's desperately trying to stay alive? He has the 10 missiles ready. He fires them. Ollie, I think this is looking wraps, even though there are 2 minutes left in the game due to how like unbreakable LCBD is on the defense.
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of see that Goomies is kind of going in one at a time and causing like 1v4s against them, and they're still just kind of running in and dying.
Yeah, Goomies is not having a fun time. I do think that their mentality has just been shattered because of how well LCBD has been dominating these last couple games, and it looks like the Tri-Slosher trying to not say no, but it's once again Liz. Can someone please stop this person from just running amok and making Goomies just look like a bunch of schmugs?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of they can when the tower is just stolen from under your nose. Because I mean, we kind of saw the RNG was just having like a fun time on tower for a little bit.
Yeah, and it looks like the Tri-Stringer is in mid. All members of Goomies are in mid, but do go down. It looks like 1 minute left in this game, and Goomies is nowhere near close to finding out the equation to breaking through LCBD. You see the Flings are just playing patiently into mid. They don't need to push really aggressively hard into Goomies' base if they have such a solid lead. But honestly, if you're LCBD, you don't care about a lead. You want to get those bodies dropping, and you want to get those points dropping, and you want to get those champagne bottles popping, because honestly, you might be punching your ticket to finals right now.
Yeah, and I mean, if they honestly wanted to, I mean, LCBD could probably just like pretend to stall out the tower instead of kind of just having it run at full force. But you could, but again, I mean, as we see, I don't think they really care. They're just going all in for it, trying to get that knockout.
Looks like they're just trying to get the knockout, like you said, and they do. LCBD takes this set 5-2 and punches their ticket to finals. Once again, they have still not dropped a set, and they did drop 2 games, which is 1 game more than the best they could have than the games they dropped during group stages. And now, wow. LCBD just had such a bounce back from the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, GUIs. I mean, they can try next semester, but I mean, I think they definitely learned something from LCBD because again, they did take some games off LCBD, so they kind of know how to play against them. But I think they just need slightly more training after a while.
Yeah, I think they just need to go back to that drawing board, and they put up a really good fight. I could sense lots of potential in the Goomies, but when you're paired up against such a dominating force in LCBD, as you've seen through the group stages, I think it was just the odds were just heavily in their favor, but at least they were able to pump out 2 games. And as we see, we have one more semifinals match coming for y'all today. It is Nightfall versus Daybreak Division 3, but however, me and Ollie are not commentating this one, so I think we have to head off the air now. Ollie, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Elixir68, and you'll also find me on my team Kraken Squids, which our CCA run is kind of dead, but you will probably see Kraken Squids maybe come back for next semester. How about you, Mewtwo?
They could find me on Twitter at DARealMew2. However, I am currently trapped in my team's basement right now at best SPL map mode, and it looks like the security, or well, the pseudo security, I don't know if they're just kind of like volunteers, are now banging on the doors of the commentator door. They're trying to get me out of here, Ollie. Honestly, I just want to say this right now. I'm a wanted criminal for commentating. Do not let me back in, because I'm just gonna find my way back into the commentating booth this time. But it's been a pleasure, Ollie, and I think we have to throw it back and make sure that I don't get sent to jail.
Yeah, I mean, come on, we gotta go there. We gotta go, Mewtwo. Just,
Jail?
oh, of course not. But we gotta get out there before
Yeah,
bad
all right.
happens.
Ooh. Stay tuned, guys. We got more coming your way.